I'm Sean Reeks, Director of Business Development with Islands Hospice. Thank you so much for joining us today in our continuation of webinars for the community. You know, most folks know us as being an exceptional hospice provider in Hawaii, but part of what we like to do is give back to the community in forms of all types of education. And so our presentation today is Happy New Year, Happy New You. Your health is in your hands. And you're gonna find out that your health is literally in your hands. So our featured speaker today is Tammy Holcher. She is a registered nurse with Islands Hospice, but also a nutritionist. She has 20 years experience in TV, radio, and keynote speaking. She has been on national TV, has made national TV appearances on NBC, CBS, and ABC, the writer of numerous magazine articles, but as she liked to point out, most importantly, the mother of 3. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Tammy.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We were practicing our social distancing. Again, welcome, everybody. I know you're taking the time out of your busy days to join us, and I know that you will probably come away with some really great tools for a healthy new year and a healthy new you. Welcome to our people on the mainland. I understand we have people on East Coast, Midwest, West Coast, and of course, our beautiful islands. Before we get started, I do want to just mention a few things. In no way is this presentation meant to treat, diagnose, mitigate, or cure any disease, nor is it meant to substitute anything that your physician, any kind of treatment or what your doctor is providing information for you. Also, nutrition is a complex science, and I could never get to everything in 45 minutes. Nor would you expect me to. I know we have some clinicians on this presentation with us, so I'm going to take this down in layman's terms, kind of general population, so that you really can look at a few subjects and be able to walk away with immediate solutions to your health and the health of your family. Also, letting you know where my passions lie, okay? I have been a nurse and a nutritionist wanting to always help people because I have had my own family crisis. My beloved daddy died of a massive heart attack at age 58. I was pregnant with my first child. My sister was also pregnant with her first child. My mom was only 47 years old. And my youngest sister was 14 years old, excuse me. My 31-year-old brother, at 51, my brother had a liver transplant because of his poor diet and lifestyle choices. And again, I see this every day as a nurse. People's poor diet and lifestyle choices is sort of, we see that, and especially in hospice at end of life. So with my brother, nutrition is what really played a key in bringing him back to good health. I have one sister who currently today is suffering the effects of some complications due to bronchitis and COPD. Yes, she is a smoker. I have another sister who is a type 2 diabetic, also, fighting obesity. And then most recently, I have lost my own mother to complications to COPD. She was my best friend. She was also a hospice patient, and something that we were very grateful for towards her end of life. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. I've got a few bags here. We'll talk about those in a little bit, so don't get distracted by them right now. And then we will also have a question and answer at the end. So hold all those questions. And again, welcome everybody. Let's get started. So the goal here today is to encourage you, to enlighten you, to inspire you. The whole point is what can I do with my health? I don't want to go back through and go through the blame game, because most certainly I want to let you know I'm not immune from having family members who have made poor diet and lifestyle choices. This is about moving forward and not pointing fingers, but pointing the way. So, again, encouraging you to look at what we're going to be doing today. So here's going to be some topics that we're going to talk about. We're going to figure out how to use your hands to kind of turn on and turn off a few things. Okay, we're going to call that nutritional manipulation in a bit. We're going to look at reducing your risk of infectious disease, heart disease, cancer, diabetes. We're going to look at inflammation and what that is and how it plays a role in your health or lack of health. We're going to talk a little bit about stomach and GI issues and also the immune function. Excuse me. So as you're sitting there today, you're looking at the slide. Why do we do these things? So why do we brush our teeth? Okay, you think about it. Why do we wear safety belts? Why do we put on bike helmets? Why currently are we wearing masks during the COVID outbreak? Because we are really trying to think about those others, our loved ones, and we're talking about protection and we are talking about prevention. Thomas Edison said the doctor of the future will give no medicine, but interest his patients in the care and of the human frame and diet and the cause of prevention of disease. So I tell people, they always say, it's just, I don't want to deal with my health. I'd rather just take medication and just deal with it, let the doctor deal with it. But if you don't take care of your health right now and you don't look at your wellness, you will pay for it later in illness and disease. And Jim Rohn famously said, take care of your body because it is the only place you have to live. So your choice is in your hands. You can kind of see the fork in the road, fighting disease or feeding disease. So as we go through this presentation, thinking about what you're eating, what you're drinking, even your lifestyle, am I feeding disease or am I fighting disease? Just give you some visuals. I like to tell people, give them something to really look forward to. You really are in control. So you think about driving a car in your hands and you're holding that, you really are in control of that car. I want to give you some good news. You are in control of your own health. And what are your hands really doing? Are they helping and healing your body? Are you reaching for those things that are healthy, that are beneficial to your body? Or maybe you're reaching for those things that maybe aren't so healthy to the body. And of course, there's that slide. So we all know the ill effects of smoking, as I mentioned. I have a sister who is struggling with the COPD. My mom passed from COPD, even though she had quit 20 years prior. Again, we see some things on there. Stress and overeating, that is a key factor. Drinking and driving, I don't think that's something that you do with your hands. But again, these are choices that some people make. They're not the best choices, right? All right, so for my clinicians here, don't hold me accountable too much to this one. We're going to do a little biology 101, and just so general lay public can understand, what are you? If you see that slide, what are you? You're a big bag of cells, basically, okay? So you have trillions and trillions of cells, heart cells, lung cells, liver cells, you have your skin cells, bone cells. You even have cancer cells floating around in your body all the time. So you're thinking, what do I do to protect them? And if you think and you look at maybe the picture of the liver on there, my brother had damaged his liver so that at age 51, he had to have a liver transplant. So when you think about your heart and heart attack or skin issues, stomach issues, when you think about trillions and trillions of cells, think about this. Each one of them takes 10,000 damaging, bombarding, free radical oxidative stress hits against it every single day. So the goal is, how can we slow that down? Or how can we just stop it altogether? So as human beings, to live that long life, to enjoy a long life, feel good and look good, how do we protect our cells and DNA? And what are they challenged with every day? So again, any of these slides you will be able to keep and take screenshots. And please also note, I'll say here that this will be recorded so that you can catch it a little bit later and share it with friends. So this is one slide that I've used not only in my general lectures, but in schools because the visual, think about this. Our goal really should be to put happy faces on all of our cells. Trillions of cells with happy faces. Wouldn't that just be lovely? And this is why you will see my bag over here, which we're going to talk about. So all of the happy faces. So we are going to talk about some of those items that are going to be good for us. So that's going to put the happy faces on our cells. And again, so when you look at the cells, and then very bottom of that, you'll see that purple and pink slide. That is actually a tiny, tiny cross section of skin. And those are skin cells. So even your skin, we want to make sure that we are protecting our skin. And a lot of our skin issues come from the inside out, not so much on the outside. All right. So what are your cells and DNA being challenged with every day? Medications have to go through the liver, they got to go through the kidney. You know, we have toxins, we've got stress, we've got pollutants. Some of our diet is not great. That might be challenging some of your cells and DNA. Exercise actually does have some cause that free radical oxidative stress against those cells, and of course some fast food and some of the junk food. Good news is it's not in your genes. So I hear a lot of people say, well, you know, my mom had breast cancer, I'll probably get cancer. My sister, you know, had cancer, and my dad had prostate cancer, so I'm going to get prostate cancer. It's not so much the genes, it's basically the diet. So in other words, it's what we're bringing to the table. It's not that we're bringing bad genes to the table, so to speak. We might be bringing some of those very poor diet items to the table, so to speak. So if you think about your genes, just know that most of your cancers are not genetic. It's what we do to those cells. It's how we initiate those cancer cells in the first place to start in the body, and we'll go through that. One of the favorite visuals I have here, excuse me, let me go back down here, is a phrase that we've used, clinicians have used for years and years. Genetics actually loads the gun, and it's the diet and lifestyle that will pull that trigger. So let's all agree for a second. Let's say that you have a gun in your home, and it is locked up, and it is up in a closet, and it is safe, it's locked away. It is never going to hurt anybody until you actually bring it down and pull the trigger. So let's say that loaded gun has your genes, and then when you bring it down, it's really what you're going to do to those genes. Are you going to damage, mutate, you know, harm those cells, or are you going to keep them healthy? So keep that in mind, because again, this is giving you good news that it's not always in your genes. There are ways to protect your cells and DNA. I don't expect everybody to read this. You can take a picture of it a little bit later. This is just to kind of keep me on track. Something that we have been hearing about in research and nutrition for years is called epigenetics. And this is how your genes are expressed. Nutrition plays a very key role in the gene expression and in how cancer develops and how we fight diseases. Key phrase that I use over and over is nutritional manipulation. That is from Dr. T. Colin Campbell, Professor Emeritus of Nutritional Biochemistry at Cornell. There's a way that we can turn on and off those genes. So think of big light switches all around. Now remember, thousands and thousands and trillions of cells. Are we, you know, flipping on the bad ones? Are we flipping on that damage, or are we kind of shutting that down and really slowing that down? So when you take a look at this slide, how we turn off some of the cancers by eating a lot of the alkaline-rich plant foods, chlorophylls, phytochemicals, enzymes. You're going to hear phytochemicals, phytonutrients. Those are plant chemicals. There's literally 10,000 plant chemicals in an apple. So, and some of those plant chemicals have names, vitamin C, quercetin, you know, things like that that you would recognize. So what are those phytochemicals that are fighting for you? Well, we need to make sure that we have lots of fiber in our bodies to help us. And if you want to look at soy or hemp, huge fruits and berries, vegetables, sprouts, nuts, and seeds. Now, what turns on cancer, and enough research that we have already is showing us that animal proteins will trigger those cancer cells and that initiation, including dairy. If you have a lot of cholesterol, a lot of fat, and a lot of sugar in your diet, these can express those genes. In other words, you're not going to have a lot of happy faces. You might have a lot of the sad faces. Okay. Inflammation is key. So think of inflammation. I want you to think of systemic inflammation. That is what's going on in the body we can't see, okay? But let's say you cut your hand and you burn your hand. You're going to see that redness or that cut, and it's going to develop that redness. You can see that inflammation. So think of inflammation as sort of fire within the body, little fires. So if you have, you know, sore elbows and wrists and joints, those little fires that are going on, that inflammation that's going on in the body. And as we look at research, we see that inflammation is the key in actually some of these diseases, as far as diabetes, cancer, heart disease, arthritis, pulmonary diseases, and even Alzheimer's disease. So inflammation, as we see here, the root of most of your diseases. Again, you can keep this slide. Think about that. Do I have inflammation going on in my body? Where is it hurting? Where is my body triggering something where I have to try to manage symptoms? And again, always try to give you options. So here are things that will actually cause inflammation in the body. They actually raise your C-reactive protein, which is a lab value. They are going to be sugar. They are going to be sodas. They are going to be dairy. They are going to be meats. They're going to be heavily processed oils, artificial sweeteners, those pink, blue, and yellow packets, alcohol, smoking, and stress. These cause a lot of inflammation and produce a lot of that oxidative stress that is actually going to damage our cells. When we look at ways to reduce inflammation, sort of the happy area, lots of fresh fruits and vegetables, including those cruciferous vegetables, the broccoli, the kale, the cauliflower, and vegetables like that. Fiber, we want to try to strive for about 25 to 40 grams a day. Most people will not get nearly that amount. Spices, turmeric, chili pepper, green tea, lots of water, omega-3s, exercise including walking, and then swap some of your cooking oils out. Moving forward into the next section, if we look at sugar, why is sugar so bad for us? Okay, well, a great book was written. I've used his information, Beating Cancer with Nutrition by Dr. Patrick Quillen. Not only is he have a PhD, he is a registered dietitian and a certified nutrition specialist. One of the things that he says, and I know this slide is a little, people will look at this, cancer is a sugar feeder, is his direct quote in the book. I always say, so people can understand it better, sugar actually feeds cancer. We know this. Sugar absolutely feeds cancer. As Sean mentioned early in the intro, I was chosen as a life changer on Extra TV, and I was paired with Dr. Mehmet Oz. And I did one of my big Halloween special sugar demos, and they paired me with Dr. Oz, and we talked about the sugar and how it suppresses the immune system. So absolutely know that, and a lot of sugar, not sugar in our fruits and vegetables, but processed sugar. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in a second. So diets high in sugar have more cancer and heart disease. And again, great book if you want to look at beating cancer with nutrition. Here are some more ill effects of the sugar: shutting down the immune system, hyperactivity, DNA damage, headaches, stomach problems. Some people just get too much processed sugar. So we're going to do a little demonstration here. We are going to do how much sugar is in your favorite food or drinks. So you're going to notice that it's not on my happy face side. We're going to be on my sad face side. So keeping in mind that the amount of sugar you eat, just in general, broad general, I know there's people with different diets and there's people with different diseases, but let's just do a broad generalization that children should not consume more than about 6 to 8 packets of sugar a day. Each packet is a teaspoon. So when I start to show this, think of each packet as a teaspoon, or 4 grams, okay? Always look at your serving size, and I'll indicate that in a minute. So let's take a look at where's that sugar coming from? Where are we getting some of that sugar? Keeping in mind that children should not have more than 6 to 8 packets. Adults probably not too far behind. You probably don't want to eat more than 10, but look at something like this. Again, this is just a regular Haagen-Dazs ice cream right there. And you have 17 packets of sugar if you eat the whole container. The other thing that we're going to talk about in a little bit, just to keep in mind when you eat this, it's not just the sugar. We are also secretly hidden is 34 grams of fat. We're going to talk about fat in just a little bit and how bad that is for your diet, too much of it as well. So think about this. Let's go to some Oreo cookies. And again, this says it's 3.5 servings, so they expect 3.5 children to share this, which is not going to happen. You know you can gobble this down in one sitting. But look at the amount of sugar in this. And consider all the other processed ingredients that are in there too. When we look at something like, Sean and I were talking about this. Now this is a giant size, but look at your Skittles, okay? 21 packets of sugar in here. Oh, we've got all sorts of fun ones. I know that some of my people on today, some of my clinicians are going to be sad to see this one. This is actually a Starbucks. This is one of the Frappuccinos. And again, lots and lots of sugar and other things within. Here's a fun one. Not. I just keep pulling out the sugar. These, I know, the little Jolly Ranchers gummies. Now, if you eat the whole bag of them, this is the amount of sugar that you're going to get. 18 packets of sugar. Sean has to keep backing up because I can't show you. And this is the one that really bothers me the most. Mountain Dew, okay? Mountain Dew, okay? And if you could actually read and research some of these ingredients, they are not healthy for you. This is probably one of the worst things that I tell people. That's probably the first thing to get out of the diet. So that is just a little bit about how much sugar is in your food, okay? Keeping in mind, sugar suppresses the immune system. So when it's flu season and it's, even with COVID right now, if you want to keep the immune system strong, you probably really want to reduce your amount of processed sugar in the body. All right, we're going to kind of put these over here so we can't see them anymore. We'll move on to the next one. Well, what to use instead? And again, stevia is a good option if you want to use that. That is from a plant. You can use the organic sucanat, which is a sugar, agave nectar, organic, and then honey. And again, keeping in mind that honey shouldn't be given to children less than when you're of age. But there's other ways to sweeten things. We don't always have to go with a very heavily processed sugar because heavily processed sugar equals a heavily processed body. All right, so we did sugar. Let's talk a little bit about fat. So learn to read your labels on the fat grams and always look at your serving size. So if it says 2 servings are in this and it's 10 grams of fat, if you eat the whole bag, it's 20 grams. So we're just going to keep that in mind as we go through. What is the limit of fat? I told you the sugar, 6 to 8 packets for a kid, maybe 8 to 10 or 12, again, for an adult, depending on if you're working out. But what's the limit of fat? So if you're a child, you're looking at maybe 45, you don't want to go over 50 grams of fat for the day, okay? And I want some of that fat to be healthy fat, the flax seeds, avocados, omegas. But I want you to think about the adults are 50 to 65 grams of fat per day. So as we go to the next slide, keep your chins up because you're going to drop them. When we look at how much fat is in some of our commonly consumed items and you're wondering, where am I picking this up? Where am I getting this from? All right. And again, you always have option to snapshot these slides. So be a little shocked. Here's your fast food, just very few sampling. Keeping in mind 50 to 65 grams per day for an adult. Again, if you're working out or you have other health conditions, I'm talking broad general public. And then if you're a child, 45 grams of fat per day, not per meal. So look down this list and start adding it up. So even if we go down there, 3rd, 4th item here, the Burger King Whopper Junior or the regular full-size Whopper, 22 grams of fat, your quarter pounder with cheese, your Big Mac. Look at that sausage, egg, and cheese McMuffin is 27 grams of fat. You're halfway to your day and you've only had that one sandwich. Now, if you add the fries to it, 25 more grams of fat. So keep adding that up and you start to wonder, where am I getting this sugar? Where am I getting this fat? Learn to read your labels because that is how you put your health in your own hands. By looking at that label, you put your health in your hands. You take that responsibility of saying, do I really need this? Happy face or sad face? Okay. Again, most people think a fillet of fish is healthy. It is not. Look at some of the Kentucky Fried Chicken. And again, if you're looking at kids, just the little popcorn nuggets is 19 grams of fat. And you add fries to it, they're pretty much, hitting that close to that daily requirement. Not to mention all the chemicals, the high sodium and high calorie content. All right, so speaking of fat, and again, I could talk about type 2 diabetes probably for an entire lecture, just giving you some brief snippets here on fat and how it relates to diabetes, especially type 2 diabetes. This is something that we clinicians know is something that's pretty much diet related. It doesn't just happen overnight. This is a couple of years of that, that free radical the inflammation that's going on within the body. So again, you have this slide, you can look through it. Every time you eat a meal, insulin is released by your pancreas to help shuttle the glucose into your cells. That's its job, is take it over to the cells so it can be used. Without the insulin, your cells can't accept the glucose, and it results in that buildup in your blood. Over time, the extra sugar causes damage to blood vessels. And when those blood vessels are damaged, and we're going to do a little heart disease right after this, but take a look at when you start damaging the vessels. Where do you have vessels? Everywhere. Eyes, brain, going up, heart, everywhere you have vessels. So when you start damaging those blood vessels, this is when we start to see blindness, kidney failure, heart attacks, and even stroke. Think of insulin as the key that unlocks the door to the cells to allow the glucose to get in, okay? Remember, without the insulin, blood glucose is stuck. It's sitting out in the bloodstream, and that's what's causing your blood sugar to rise, and it's banging at that door. So if you're jamming up the food locks, those door locks, so you see the slides there, what is jamming up those locks? A lot of it is the fat that we consume. So if you get a straw, if you had a straw today and you ran it under the sink and it just ran straight through beautiful water, but what happens if you took that straw and you put a little bit of butter in it or something else? The water is not going to run through so great. So what is gumming up and jamming those locks so that you can't, so that your pancreas is working overtime and you end up with a type 2 diabetes? And think of a high fat, high calorie diet. It impairs that body's ability to actually handle that sugar. All right. And again, great book one of the books that I use is How Not to Die by Dr. Michael Greger. At the end of this, you will see some of my resource slides and some of my research information. All right, so we are going to talk about heart, going into heart health now. So again, this is what killed my beloved daddy at age 58. Now, what I didn't tell you in the beginning is that my daddy was from the South. So that means everything that he ate was fried, dyed, gluten, tattooed, and had a big ladle of gravy on it, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That comfort food is what I was raised on. It is great. My mom was a great cook. I'm telling you what, loved it. However, some of those diet and lifestyle choices, we weren't eating a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables. We weren't eating a lot of fresh raw fruits really, it was a lot of processed foods. So when you start to think about your heart really is in your own hands, it really is. If I would have known then what I know now, I would have prevented my beloved daddy from dying. I didn't know that. I wasn't even in nutrition. I wasn't even in nursing then. So this is why I do what I do now, is to actually give back to people so that you can prevent or just at least, help you with your health and those of your loved ones. So when you look at heart disease, again, these are statistics. I don't have to go through every single one of them. They're pretty scary. You can, again, snapshot the slides. But when you start to think of how many people are having heart attacks, and heart attacks are so preventable. This is not, most of the time, not genetic. This is a huge percentage of the time. This is diet and lifestyle related. How? Well, again, let's talk about the coronary artery disease. So you can see on the slide there that you have a very clean artery, normal coronary artery. And remember, you have arteries going everywhere. So you've got one coming up into your brain. If that gets clogged, guess what happens? Stroke. Going into your heart, you have a heart attack. For men, just giving you an idea, remember circulation is below the belt as well. We'll hit that for just a little second here as well. I am so sorry. The technical difficulties, I'm going to blame it on 2020 and COVID. Sorry. All right. And then on this slide, you can see what happens when we have that plaque buildup within that artery. So again, think of a straw. Very clean straw, very clean artery. Things can just go through it. Woo, party, happy faces. We're just having a great time. When you think about that straw or your artery being clogged up, everything is sluggish. It just moves slower. Blood can't get through. And remember, there's oxygen on those blood cells. The nutrients can't get through. So you now are starting to occlude, and you're really starting to damage those arteries, those cells within that arteries. So we've got to really think about looking at the cholesterol and the amount of fat in our diets. Something else, and I know, again, I've got some clinicians on this call, and I actually probably using a little bit of the material. Thank you anyway. So you're not medication deficient if you think about it. So you're not Lipitor deficient. You're not aspirin deficient. You're not blood pressure medication deficient. Those medications will never cure you. And this does not mean in any way to stop taking them. What I'm trying to make the point is we can eat better to prevent a lot of the heart disease. So if we eat less of the animal proteins, less of those saturated fats, less of those things that are clogging those arteries, and eat more of the things that help clean that up and help protect those cells, especially in our cardiovascular system. And that means eating more plants, more fiber, fruits, and veggies. Omega-3s, again, something that I really advocate a lot of that. I prefer not fish oil capsules. I do prefer a plant-based omega and maybe a combination, maybe a 3, 6, 5, 7, and 9. If you get it through plants, you're getting more of those phytonutrients and you're also getting fiber as well. Whereas a concentrated like fish, if you're eating fish, you're still getting cholesterol, you're still getting that animal fat, you're getting that, clogging artery effect. So again, here are some items. Flax seeds. I use my flax seeds. Love fresh ground flax seed. I use it in smoothies all the time. We'll talk about some of these things when I lift up the bag. Anyway, this is also great for your hormones, great for mood. So if you're not getting enough of those omegas, which is really brain health, you might be thinking, do I really want my brain to be healthy? Yes, you do. All right. So healthy fast food instead. So a lot of the fast food companies are, you can get a bean, and if you do bean and cheese burrito, ask them to add some lettuce to it at least. Always strive to have a little bit more health in your meal. Take your hands and put a little bit more of it in there. So there are healthy items. I know that some of the fast food places now have baked potatoes. So you can get baked potatoes. Just don't smother it with bacon and sour cream and everything like that, okay? Veggie burgers in even salads. So our fast food places are getting a little bit healthier. When we talk about the fat, we talk about diabetes. Dairy is scary. And again, I don't need to go through this. You all have this slide. This is the lactose intolerance in the United States. So if you think of somebody who's lactose intolerant, that means that they are not able to break that down. And that can cause a lot of problems in itself. And if you just take a look at some of those lactose intolerance among certain demographics, and ask yourself if you have some of these issues. Whoops, my slides. So if you're lactose intolerant, and you start to have some of these issues. If you look at dairy, we know that, acne, I should point to the face. Acne, much of your acne can be, we can look at back to dairy. If you're consuming a lot of dairy, we got to look at the gut and how is it expressing itself. Also, allergies, asthma, dairy can exacerbate that. And then also many trips to the bathroom, you might be lactose intolerant. Dairy can be scary. So again, some research that we have here. Basically what this is saying is that people who consume higher amounts of dairy, so if you do it at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you're doing ice cream, and then you're doing cheese, and then you're doing something else, and you're constantly eating dairy all, throughout the day, higher intakes are a direct correlation back to breast cancer, prostate cancer, obviously heart disease. So take a look at this as we look through some of these studies, and then you will also see my research is on there as well, okay? All right, so if you want to switch, what do I do instead? Some people say I can't do soy milk, I don't want soy milk. That's okay too. If you are going to do a plant milk, so say soy has a pretty high protein profile. They make sure it is non-GMO, not genetically modified. You also want to have it organic. It's a lot cleaner. But there are lots of plant milks. There's rice milk and almond milk and hemp milk and cashew milk. There are vegetarian versions of cheese and there are vegan choices for cheese. There is a difference. Maybe we can touch that in our Q&A after the presentation. There's also great yogurts. They have, fruit in them, or add your own fruit. Get a vanilla yogurt. Maybe it's made from almond milk or soy milk, or again, cashew milk. There's all sorts of them out there. Add your own fresh fruit to it. Pomegranate seeds. My favorite is to take a fresh pomegranate, bust it open, and put it in some beautiful vanilla yogurt, and it's just yay. Happy faces in my taste buds. Just saying. Almond milk, even the ice creams that you have. But keep in mind, I'm not saying that the ice creams made from some of the plant milks are healthy. They are healthier versions. They're probably still going to have some of that sugar in there. So be cautious and read your labels. I like to think of transitional foods. So people ask me a lot, it may come up in Q&A, what do you think about the plant proteins, like the veggie crumbles or the fake sausage or the fake hot dogs, or any one of those, the fake chicken? I call those transitional foods. I don't say to eat them every single day, but myself included, I enjoy them because there's times when I just want something else, and that is my go-to. And there are healthier versions out there, so that we can talk about that on the other side, questions and answers, okay? I want to try to get through everything so the people who are doing this on their lunch hour can get all the way through it for you. Okay, drinking more water. This is key. So water should always be, this actually has some fresh juice squeezed in it, but water should be your first choice. Happy faces, not happy faces. Happy faces, not happy faces, okay? So think about water as always transporting those nutrients in the body. Water should always be your first choice. Now, if you want to add, some fresh squeezed juice, this actually, I squeezed a couple of those little cuties and just put it right into my water. Some people, I have some friends on this presentation, they get some water and you slice up, cucumbers, and you slice up maybe some oranges and lemons and cucumbers and just berries. You throw them into water, you have a big jug, and you drink that throughout the day. There's another great reason. So if you don't like just regular water, another option might be coconut water. Coconut water, I prefer it if it's really chilled, and different brands taste different, but you can get a lot of electrolytes in there and a lot of nutrients from coconut water. So again, keeping in mind to drink more water. All right, I don't want to go out of frame here, so I'm going to leave it right there. So as we're moving through the lecture, you can see, you start to get the picture of my health is in my hands. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize there was that much sugar. I didn't realize that maybe some of these things aren't so fun. Maybe some of these things might have a lot of chemicals and fat. These things might fill your gut, honestly, and I know a lot of people eat them, they taste great. But think about this. I told you in the very beginning, you have trillions and trillions and trillions of cells, right? You have taste bud cells. Why let a few thousand of them control what goes on with your entire body, including your brain, including your blood, including your heart, including women, your hormones, including men, some of the things that are going on below the belt. So we want to look at what are the chemicals, what are those things that we're putting in our body. So when you look at your hands, do control your health. Please again, keep in mind, I am giving you options. I am trying to inspire you. There's no guilt here. So I don't want anybody to go, oh my gosh, I eat that every day and I have that for lunch. This is not about, pointing the finger, as I said. This is about pointing the way. So forget everything from before this. Let's move forward so that you have the tools to really do control your health and the health of your loved ones. So I put this slide up because I kind of want you to think about what is going on. What is my body full of? What am I eating or drinking, smoking, stress, anything like that? What am I doing that might be harming my cells and my DNA? Am I putting happy faces on my cells? Am I putting sad faces? And again, this does not mean we don't ever not eat birthday cake and go out and have fun with our friends and, eat a hamburger or some pizza. That's not what I'm saying here. It's sort of the birthday party diet. A good friend and colleague of mine, Dr. Pam Popper, always coined that phrase. So It's just that people are eating the birthday party diet every single day. So that's what I'm saying is can we move toward, can we shift our process into helping, healing, and creating beautiful cells and DNA, and not go back into dis-ease, going back into degeneration of those cells? Because remember, happy faces create long, healthy lives. Okay, so keep an eye on this. And again, you can use this, take a Snapchat. I'm not even on there. I barely can use Twitter. So anyway, a snapshot, your hands control your health, and think about more diseases. If you're looking at the one on the left, more diseases of all types. Whoops. They told me to use one arrow and I keep trying to use the other arrow. I'm so sorry. Talk about manipulating your hands. All right. So your hands can play nutritional manipulation. These are just a few. I hope I can get this in frame all the way. I'm going to cut off the top so we can just kind of see. So nutrition manipulation, what can we be flipping on and flipping off as you have those choices? So think about nutrition. And again, it's a very complex subject matter, but again, just some basics for you, some basic ideas of maybe what to add a little bit more of and what to do a little bit less of. So here you go. And sprouts are excellent. They're high sources of protein. And again, if you're feeding them to children, make sure they're really thoroughly washed. But sprouts are amazing. I use them a lot. Instead of having lettuce on a sandwich, I like to use the sprouts. Don't forget your green teas, some healthy nuts. Quinoa is a total go-to for a lot of my athletes. Also, as I go into this, the nutrition rainbow, I'm going to keep this up. This is beautiful. We're going to talk about why those phytonutrients are so powerful. But I wanted to back up just real quick. One of the things Sean didn't say because I didn't tell him, forgot. I'm also the nutritionist for the head of UCLA's autism program. So I have a very large autistic patient base. I have for 20 years. It's very hard to get these kids to eat healthy. They have taste and texture issues. There's all sorts of things going on. So my goal is always to meet with mom and dad, to give them those benefits, to give them those ideas of where we can hide food, what we can do to help that child. Okay. So speaking of helping children, let's get them to eat more of the nutrition rainbow. And whoops, went out of frame. Isn't that funny? Okay. Not this kind of. Okay, so what I'm saying is this is not the nutrition rainbow. I'm talking about all these beautiful colors. This is literally, if you look at the backpack, it's almost straight sugar, okay? So if you look at go back to my slide, the nutrition rainbow is where we want to be. And if you can see, we have all sorts of beautiful, not only fruits and vegetables here, we've got the fruits and vegetables back here, and the different colors of these fruits and vegetables. Those things, those phytonutrients, think of them, those are plant chemicals, plant nutrients. Again, I mentioned some of them, vitamin C, the vitamin E's, the calcium that are contained in a lot of our fruits and vegetables, all those protective benefits. So when you look at the colors, why I say to eat the rainbow and try to get rainbow every day is because the colors actually are associated with your health and how they help us. So if you look at lycopene, the reds, just that alone, that is where we look at the benefits for prostate health. And you can go down and look at all of these beautiful items and looking at folate and vitamin C, the anthocyanins in those blues, and the resveratrols in the berries. Berries, my sister jokes, she's probably on here today. She says, I eat berries every day. I try to eat berries every day. It used to be I try to eat them every single day. But anyway, get those berries because those berries are very good for heart health. They actually do something called vasodilate. There's like a nitric oxide. They actually open up. So it's easier for things to get through, all of our circulatory system. Anyway, I digress there for a second. But anyway, look at these beautiful colors and try to add them every single day, every meal, so that you know you are helping and healing your body. Again, I produce these so that you have snapshots, that you can actually take a picture of these and you can use them, okay? So that you have them for a resource. And again, plants have they do have protein, fiber, phytonutrients, hundreds and hundreds of studies of the benefits of eating more fruits and vegetables. Reduce those damaging effects of the free radicals. Those fruits and vegetables kind of act as like that barrier to kind of slow down the damaging effects. We can reduce our risk of cancer, heart disease, diabetes, obesity, and increase the immune function. And there's hundreds of studies to back that up. So if you could just add a little bit more fruits and vegetables daily. And how do we do that? Here's just some ideas. Take some spinach, add it to, your spaghetti sauce. The kids will never know. Just don't overpower it, because spinach can be overpowering. Take the cauliflower and make mashed potatoes. Add it to a couple of florets and make mashed potatoes. And again, my favorite is smoothies and pureed soups. This is a great way to get nutrients quickly, and you can make it and then run out the door with it. So think about those smoothies. Think about ways to add more fruits, more vegetables to your smoothies, and even taking some of the soups and adding some vegetables, put it in a blender, puree it down to a beautiful soup, and your kids will never know what's in there. It's a great way to hide it. It's what we use for my autism clients. Again, taking almond butter, instead of making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, slice up some strawberries or slice up some kiwi or slice up some bananas and use that instead of jelly. And again, another option instead of mayonnaise is use a very ripe avocado for your sandwiches. I have a timer on me, so I'm trying to get through this so we can get to the questions and answers. And again, as we wrap up, this is kind of a little bit of a summary. So a healthy new you is going to be you taking your hands and making sure that you're doing everything you can to add some value to your diet, to your nutrition. And again, I do always recommend, it doesn't matter a brand, some are better than others, but basically I do, a lot of my patients have probiotics. I think that they are great for health, and remember, a lot of your immune system is sitting in your gut, so you want it to be healthy. So we use, I do recommend a probiotic. I also recommend B12, especially for some of my patients, a little bit older patients, bariatric patients, and people who are vegetarian and vegan need a good B12. Again, you can take a picture of this slide, keep it as a resource, use it, discuss it with your family. Here are, again, you have this slide. These are some of my resources and recommendations. These are some of the colleagues that I work with. They're third-party independent. So they are not tied to trade groups or organizations, pharmaceuticals, or big business. So again, some very good places to find lots of tips. Some of these actually websites you can download recipes. You can, there's classes. There's all sorts of things that you can experience when you visit these websites, again, from a lot of my friends and colleagues. So with that, we're going to finish up because I know we need to, I'm being timed and we've got to get some questions and answers in. So again, I know it's been quick. I've had to talk pretty quick, but I had to try to do it in 45 minutes. So anyway, I am going to open it up. I thank you again for participating, taking time out of your day to join us. I really, truly hope I've given you the information that you need for a healthy new you and a healthy new year. And I hope that you can see that, your health really is in your own hands. So with that, thank you. And we will open it up for questions. And I'm not sure how it works.
Yeah, no. So I'll make it really easy. So we're keeping 6 feet apart. I'm going to keep my mask on. You can come a little bit more this way. So fat. I got to tell you, Tammy, this one hurt. This one really hurt.
I'll hold it up even higher because it's still all the way down there.
Yeah, and if I have any, family or friends watching, everybody knows the Skittles. But we're talking today about a different kind of rainbow.
Yes,
right?
indeed.
And there are some questions. Somebody had asked, aren't smoothies high in calories? I guess it depends on what you put in them.
It actually does. I mean, you're going to get, now if you have smoothies and you're still getting the fiber, I don't know if I need to stand within camera range or we in?
You're good.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
You're good.
All right. So depending on, obviously if you're diabetic, you do have to watch when you do make a smoothie. But if you're adding maybe some fresh ground flaxseed, the goal is to also have some fiber in there. So if you have some fiber, you're adding maybe a few leaves of spinach, things like that, you're going to increase that fiber. It slows down that glycemic index. So it's just, it doesn't go in as straight sugar. And again, for people with diabetics and limited diet, they have restrictions, even a small bunch of a small juice, instead of a big old one, is still much better for you.
Absolutely.
Right, what else do we have?
Another question. I think I know where this answer might be going. How do you feel about coffee and alcohol?
All right. Who's on there of my friends that asked
We have a friend named Nancy asking.
I love you. She is a healthcare practitioner in Phoenix. Thank you. Alcohol, again, goes through the liver. But again, like I said, it's not about completely taking everything out of your daily, your daily regime. I don't drink alcohol daily. Coffee, I do. I think a nice, good, strong cup of coffee is good. There's a lot of health benefits with that. I don't add sugar and I don't add milk and everything. A nice black cup of coffee is good. Alcohol, and again, when I say in moderation, people aren't going to like this. It might be 1 to 2 drinks a week. And even that doesn't mean that you start drinking alcohol because I said it was healthy. I'm not saying that. But if you're going to be out with friends and you want a nice red wine or something like that, again, in moderation. It's high in sugar. It's just concentrated calories.
Absolutely.
All right.
Do you have any comments on probiotics?
We talked about probiotics. And again, it is something that I recommend. I recommend to not only my autistic patient base, but anybody I'm doing a consult with. I always say, do you have a probiotic? Some are better than others. Some need to be refrigerated. Some are very expensive. I can talk to people offline as far as that. I don't want to do any kind of recommendations here. This is just one. I can turn the label around, not that I sell it or anything. But I just wanted to say that probiotics are key because people do so much damage to our guts that we need to replace. We need to protect the cells and DNA. And I know that probiotics are going to be very, very good at doing that for us.
Absolutely.
I feel like I'm on a game show next, which I've done free, by the way. Anyway.
So I have to say, in regards to being vegan, and I was telling you this the other day, in fact, when we were practicing, there's a recipe for crock-pot lasagna, and Kenny and I, we tried for the first time for a vegan version of beef in that lasagna. It was very tasty.
Did you use the crumbles, the burger crumbles?
No, it was, I can't remember what it was.
It was like a beef?
It was really good.
Okay.
It was a plant-based beef alternative. It was very, very tasty. And are you a vegan? And do you have any comments on that?
Okay, I am vegetarian. I am not vegan. I would do very well. I would probably drop 10 pounds immediately if I went vegan. It's very hard to give up certain things. Now, things I don't buy, things I don't bring into my home. I do not eat anything with a face. So I don't eat animal flesh. As far as maybe eggs or maybe cheese, I don't bring it into my home. I don't buy it. But if I go to somebody's house and like Sean would offer me something and it has some eggs in it, like a nice carrot cake or something, I'm just saying. Or, somebody put out a cheese platter, trust me, I'm not going to turn it away. So that is one of the reasons why it's very, very hard to go vegan. But I know for my own health, I would be much healthier if I was vegan. I'm just, like I said, not there.
I'll be honest.
I live in Hawaii.
I know, I struggle with giving up the meat, so I'm trying to eat a little bit less red meat, more lean meats, but I'm a carnivore. I'm working on it.
We're going to talk privately.
She's going to give me a private session on what meats to eat and what not to eat. Diet soda. What are your comments on diet soda, and can you touch on perhaps why that's bad?
Okay, diet soda, most of your sodas are bad anyway. They have the phosphoric acid, which is very damaging to the body, kidneys and everything else. There are so many chemicals in diet soda. And there's a lot of research right now that diet sodas and the sugar-free items trick the brain. So you actually drink more or you may eat more. Because, this doesn't have that much, so I'm just going to drink a little bit more because it doesn't have as much. But think about this. The chemicals were developed to trick the cells and the taste buds. We have to think why we are drinking diet soda. Do you need the caffeine because, you're so exhausted you've got to keep drinking diet sodas? You have to think about, is your body spending a great deal of its energy digesting and trying to process this? That's why your energy is so low. If you ate more like this, the body recognizes this and actually increases your energy. So in a twisted way that got to that answer.
No, it really did.
Okay.
The term diet soda is a little bit misleading than it would seem.
The first 3 letters, DIE.
Oh,
I want a game
Goodness.
show. I'm sorry, you can tell. I'm sorry. I don't
getting
know.
extra points for comedy.
Okay.
No, but that really, let's see if there's any, one more question. What can we do if we can't get if we can't consume the rainbow of vegetables each day? Are there supplements that you recommend?
Okay. Yes, I do. There are, in other words, I know that there are supplements or whole food products that actually are juiced down fruits and vegetables that you can use to get them into the body. We actually have some that I've been recommending for 20 years for my autistic patient base at UCLA. I don't want to mention any brand names here because that's not what this is for, but I absolutely do recommend for people who aren't going to consume 9 to 13 servings of fruits and vegetables daily. And think about what a serving is. A serving size is a fist. That means your toddler's fist. So don't try to give them, so whatever the fist size is, that's a serving. So you need to strive for 9 to 13 servings of fresh raw fruits and vegetables daily. And if you can't, there are whole food supplements, especially the ones that you want to go through that actually has some research. So anybody can email me on that. So I don't recommend on the specific.
Yeah. A question from Shelly. Any comment on vegan keto sugars like Swerve and monk fruit? She says, I'm vegan in Hawaii, LOL.
Oh, aloha. So monk fruit, yes. What's the other one I haven't heard of?
Swerve. I haven't seen it either. It's SWERVE. I haven't heard of that
I
alternative.
am gonna have to look that up. This is Stump the Nurse, Stump the Nutritionist game show.
Yeah.
I can see we're almost done.
There's
You
always
win.
something new to learn.
There's always something. I said nutrition is complex.
But do you have any comment on keto sugars or vegan sugars?
Okay, I'm not, I don't advocate the keto diet, so I'm probably not a good person to even get into that. But there probably are, besides the stevia, besides some of the other things, I might have to take a look at that and add that to my side. So thanks, mahalo.
What about kombucha?
Oh, kombucha, love it. Absolutely love it.
Too.
I do. Some people, it takes a long time for them to get that, they can't get the taste right and they're like, whoa, I don't like this. It took a while, but yes, kombucha is good because it's got the probiotics. It's got a lot of healthy things in there for you. It's much better for you than soda. It's very expensive. I mean, this is like 99 cents. Think about the quality of the food, and kombucha is almost $4, so indeed.
Well, I think we're nearing the end of our time. Tammy, thanks so much for your presentation today. Again, we're with Islands Hospice, but as a part of our community outreach, we like to present educational webinars to the community at least every month or so. And if you've joined us today, you're on the list to receive updates and notifications about future webinars. I have a feeling we'll be having some more nutrition-based webinars in the future. But again, thanks for joining us today. I'm Sean Reeks, Director of Business Development with Islands Hospice. Of course, Tammy Holcher, registered nurse with Islands Hospice, nutritionist. The list goes, a mother of 3. It goes on and on. But we're so thankful that you joined us. It is recorded. This is recorded. You'll be able to find this online on our YouTube channel. There'll be a link on our website. And again, just one last disclaimer, and I think Tammy says it best.
Oh, you always say with my mask on.
You can, yeah.
Sorry, yeah. Again, we covered a lot of material, but again, in no way is this meant to treat, cure, mitigate, prevent any disease, nor is it meant to substitute your physician's advice, and nor would we ever want you to stop a medication because of something you saw in here. So I just, again, want to go ahead and say that. It's information, education purposes. I encourage you to go out and do your own research and take a look at how you can really take your health back into your own hands.
And like you said, your health.
Go ahead, you do it.
Your health really is in your hands. I love the visuals. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time. Mahalo.